So lovely to meet you all. My name is Rory McKiernan. You're welcome back to Ireland. I believe that there's a great Irish connection here, as there is. Does anyone want to tell me about it? Kevin, you look like the man who...
Yeah, it was simply just the father was bred and born here. The family were all brought up in Dublin, Rathmines. And then he moved to Wales and I think it was early 50s, well late 40s I'd say. It must have been the 40s because the sisters were all born over in Wales. So, and the grandfather followed over. It was a bit of bad luck then. He was stopping with us when in fact I was in the bed with him the same night. And where we was the house now, the top of the stairs, the toilet was in the middle. So when he came out of the bedroom, instead of walking into the toilet, he walked down the stairs, and they found him dead on the foot of the stairs in the morning. He'd fallen down the stairs. The grandfather was then, yeah. So they're all buried now. The father, the grandfather, and the mother are all buried in the same grave back in Wales now. So, and then there's the other brother. He's buried in Wales. I think there's one still alive in Dundee, but we lost contact. But I think there's still a lot of contacts in Dublin, but we lost contact ourselves, like, you know what I mean? So hopefully with this going on, I might get some contact through it, like, you know.
And do you feel that there's the Irish connection is strong? And
yeah. I think it's very so. I take it personally very strong myself. Most of my life I worked with an Irish firm or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I travel a lot with them. When in fact 13 years ago I was working in Leaslip in Intel. So I was here for about 12 months. Yeah. You know, I love Ireland anyway, you know what I mean? I used to spend a lot of time over here on holidays when I was young in school. So there's a big bond with me anyway, and as far as Ireland is concerned.
Yeah, well hopefully you'll be back again before long.
The only thing is they brought me the chairs last Sunday.
Oh, the rugby. Yeah. So what about when Ireland play Wales? How does that work? I'm sure you're for Wales, you have to be.
No, my shots for Ireland. My husband always shouted to me and said, "Is Wales you?"
I have a little green shirt up in my room, tells you something anyway.
Yeah.
An Irish shirt up in the room, yeah.
And Susan, you were telling me, so you're Chelsea's uncle.
Yeah.
And Susan, you're Chelsea's mother. And you were telling me over a cup of tea earlier that there's an even stronger Manning connection because it was a Manning
married Manning.
A Manning married Manning, but no relation.
And what's a place called? Askew?
Askew,
Yeah.
That's in County Cork, you were saying, yeah?
Way down.
South, yeah.
Way down. Because Debbie Manning Van Alstein, the Debbie, she went over. We thought it was going to take a week to 2 weeks to get the family to tree. One day.
Yeah. And was Chelsea ever in Ireland when he was younger? No. But
only when flying
to the Shannon airport out to
the army.
Yeah, true. Because obviously Shannon is used by the US Army. Yeah. And you were telling me that. Well, I suppose I was asking you earlier. Was there a strong theme of justice in the family? You know, because quite often when somebody, I suppose, campaigns or comes out for human rights or justice, you'll tend to find that in their background, their parents or their grandparents or somebody before them was a bit like that. And you said something to me that was very interesting about his grandmother. Yeah, what was it you told me about the...
She'd always say, if you can't tell the truth, don't bother talking.
If you can't tell the truth, don't bother talking. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it says a lot, doesn't it? Yeah. So, I mean, do you think, for me anyway, it seems clear that that's a core message, because when the messages that people that are brought up with in their lives when they're children, you know, they come to play when incidents occur later in life. So do you think that kind of education was a motivation for what happened in the military?
I'm not quite sure, because Grandmama Manning, Mama Cicino, when they lived in Oklahoma, we lived in the sticks. She lived with us. She lived with us for first time when Grandpa Mama and Dad died, she came out and I lived. We went back and then she came back and I lived. I'd say about 8 years she lived with us. And then she had a poor partner. But in the town, we were out side. And but Bradley go to school and meet and pick him up, and then Grandma would take us home. And half-day days for schools.
Can I ask you, Sharon, just about what how you felt Bradley was growing up as a child? What type of person?
When he came back over to Wales to live, I don't think he was ever accepted because he was American, so he talked different to the other children. Either the children would play pranks on him, and I can remember one time they went camping, and... so
he was brought up in America?
Yeah.
He was born in America.
His father was in the military, isn't that right? Yeah.
And then he came back over when he was about 13, and he just found it hard to adjust to our... And other children found him hard. Because if Bradley had an idea, it had to be his way, you know. But he's got into a band, didn't he, with school and stuff like that. But kids were always playing pranks on him. They were always... either they'd be his best friend, but, you know, it's like when you get a group of children go off and what have you, they'd think, oh, well, we'll pick on him, and it was always Bradley. They'd always pick on Bradley. And one time they went camping in Newgale, and it rained and rained, and he had his own tent, because they insisted, you know, he has his own tent. But when he woke up the next day, they'd all gone and left him. And at the time, he didn't have a mobile phone. He had nothing. He was soaked, didn't he? When he got back, he was absolutely soaked. But the first thing Susan did was to get him a mobile phone so that if ever happened again, he could phone home, like.
So he was bullied and isolated
he was
from
bullied, yeah,
13?
He was, and then he'd make friends. But you know what children are like, you know. They think, oh, don't go round with him or what have you. But he didn't have it easy. He really didn't have it easy. He just found it hard to fit in.
And how did he respond to that?
Well, he spent more time on his own, more time in his room, more time with the computers. You know, he was just like a bit of a loner then. He went through a time where it was just Bradley. And
how would you describe his personality, like who he is, beyond what everyone in the media knows and all of that? What type of person is he at his heart, in his heart or her heart?
He's an honest person. I always give him that, and I never heard him swear. All the time I've spent with him, no matter how angry the other kids would do to wind him up, I never heard that boy swear once. You know, I never... I'd see him lose his temper, and, you know, but he never, you know, he didn't take his anger out on anybody, and always, you know, he was just Bradley.
He sounds to me like a very gentle person.
Yeah, he was, but at the same time, he was a loner. I think he found it hard then to trust people. He went into a shell where if anybody came close to him, Bradley would sort of say at arm's length, "Whoa, that's enough. I'm not letting you in because I don't want to be hurt anymore." Everybody he allowed into his bubble would burst it. So I think he took steps to prevent that then, that he didn't want to get hurt.
And can I ask why you think he joined the military?
Because of his father.
Yeah.
Because
I think he was hoping to get into university.
Yeah, he you know, he didn't have anywhere to live apart at the time. You know, he was going from job to job, and he needed something structural in his life. He needed one path, and Brian suggested he join the army because he said, you know, you'd have a roof over your head, 3 square meals a day. And you'd learn a trade, and then when you come out, they'd put you through college. They would fund it, and I think that's why he went.
And how did you all feel about him joining the military? Was it?
It was no different because I had a nephew. We had a nephew, so it wasn't a shock to us. You know, it was, you know, jobs are hard. Unemployment back in Wales was, you know, with us. So we just expected the same over there, unless you had a good education, and he didn't finish all his exams over here. So, you know, I was happy with it. You know, he phoned Susan quite regular. to let her know where he was. I was quite happy, you know. We always knew, you know, he was okay. He went from one place to the other, and he did keep in touch with her.
When was the first time that you had heard of what had happened in relation to the what happened in Iraq and so on?
I was working, and I was driving, and my phone went off, and I took the call, and it was his father phoning me. And Brian phoned me to say what had happened. I didn't understand it, because the way they speak, you know, the way the words I didn't quite grasp it, but he asked me to tell Susan, and I said, yeah, that's fine. And I phoned my husband, and I remember phoning my husband saying, Brian's just called me to say Bradley's in trouble, big trouble. And the next thing I knew, and I went home, there he was on the telly, and I thinking, this is big, he's in trouble, what has he done?
So it's gone from nothing to everything.
I walked through the door, and there on the telly, I'm thinking, Bradley. And then it hit me.
It was all on news then, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then I realised that whatever, and I didn't understand it. I couldn't. No, I didn't. I didn't understand it at all. And people were trying to explain to me, and it just wasn't going in until they released the video of the helicopter and them shooting. Then it sunk in what he had done. And until I saw that, I didn't understand.
Okay, so you've seen that video.
Yeah.
And what can you describe that video to anybody that might be listening or watching this interview?
Well, I was shocked. I couldn't believe. I thought I was watching a movie. You know, something like Tom Cruise or Tom Hanks or something like that. I couldn't believe that this had actually happened and been covered up. And Bradley had seen this, and it wasn't until I saw that I thought I could understand why he did what he did, because I couldn't live with that on my conscience if I'd have seen that, and I had to live with that for the rest of my life, that they were killing innocent people and covering it up. And the one thing, like I said before, that's bothered me is that Bradley's been punished for releasing that, but whatever happened to those people that did it? Were they ever punished? It's never been brought to light. No one has ever said, oh, well, you know, they've had to resign from the army or what have you. And that's something that always plays heavily on my mind, that he's been punished for releasing something that I think the public had the right to see, you know. So until I saw that, it didn't sink in. It just didn't sink in.
How have the last few years affected you all as a family? Because I think, like, it's clear to me meeting you now that you're just a normal family, essentially, that like you live in Wales, you get on with your life, you know, you're like the rest of us, and suddenly a member of your family is...
You just bond together.
We're family, and we have actually brought us closer, I think. You know, we've all, you know...
But then again, we were always brought up close, weren't we?
Yeah, I think it's brought us closer.
If one finds out something, they let us know now, you know, we always keep in touch with each other. If anybody finds out something, we let the other ones know.
And has it, am I right in saying that it's taken over your lives?
Yes, it did. It was hard to work. It was hard to just even go out. Because
you still need to get by and pay the bills.
Yes, you do. But in order to get out, you'd have reporters, and then when you come home, you face a report. Or if you went out, you'd have people coming up and saying to you, they always felt as though you knew more than what you were willing to say.
They thought you were part of something.
Yeah, you know. And I can remember, like, I post parcels to his sister, and she thought that they were being opened and resealed. There was
one time they thought our phones were being tapped.
Yeah, it was just awful,
And do you feel that that's died down a bit, or?
Well, now, yeah, but leading up to the trial, it was horrendous, and they just wouldn't take no for an answer, and you didn't know what to say, because whatever you said, they would twist. You didn't know who to trust, so we just stuck together and not said anything. You know, Kevin, the local
papers put things in the paper which hadn't said nothing. So I had to go down there myself and sort it out, like, you know, and did lose it a bit.
Because
like, you know.
Nobody was speaking.
But I hadn't, they put things in that I hadn't even said. You know what I mean? They were just making things up for for the
For a
people, like,
story.
yeah.
And what about your extended friends or family or the town or the community or people in Wales? Do you feel supported or did you feel supported?
Most of my friends were very supportive around me, like, you know. There's, I didn't find I lost any friends over it, like.
Do you feel like
And
that you were abandoned, or do you feel that
we didn't.
We asked for nothing. We asked for nothing.
And
We didn't expect
we didn't find any
anything.
problem talking
No.
about it either, like,
Okay.
you know what I mean? It
Okay.
didn't, so it didn't really affect us that way,
Yeah.
people around us, like. But I've never found any difference, like, you know what I mean? And I found it easy enough to try. They wanted to talk about it, I could talk to them about it, like, you know. You want to ask any questions, what's happening and things like, so that didn't affect me in any way.
It was just in the beginning, we didn't know
No,
a lot
yeah,
today. They
no,
never
no,
told us
at the
nothing.
yeah.
What we found out, we had to find out ourselves. They never kept us in touch with nothing at all. And you think a government like that, knowing it's their son, they would keep it informed, but nothing. We just had to find out ourselves through computers, on emails and all like that. That's the only way we
no
found out.
matter how much we found out, you know, what hurt me was when the treatment he had in Quantico. And being so far away, and I remember that weekend.
Not being able to do anything.
In my heart, I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to speak to anybody.
What was that treatment that you were talking about?
Well, he was stripped naked, to everything taken from him. You know, made to stand in a corner.
Checked on his head.
And you know, and I remember Bradley growing up as a small boy, and then turning into a man. And I'm thinking, I wouldn't treat a dog like that. You know.
And he was
human
placed in
rights.
solitary then?
Yes, he was.
For how long was he there?
I think it was about a month. But
Month
being
or
so
two.
far away, and I was just like thinking, somebody do something. So, and in the end, I got on the computer to David Coombs and I said, for God's sake, you've got to do something. You've got to stop this because, you know,
He was feeling strong to stick it.
Yeah, that's when I realised how strong Bradley was. Until then, I didn't realise.
We thought he would have cracked from that. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Do you feel that any politician has supported you in any real way?
The only one that I
Anne
found
Clwyd.
is Anne Clwyd. She's an MP from Cardiff, and she has been good. I remember being over in Washington when I took Susan over the first time, and she tried to get in touch with us then, and she would have flown over and gone to see him. But people don't understand. You can't just choose to go and see him. It's all down to Bradley. If he wants to see you or not, you know, there's a list, and if he wants to see you, he'll put you on the list. If you do something, you know, if he doesn't agree with what you do or what you say, he'll take you off the list. You know, and that's how it works. People just think they can just go and expect to turn up and go in. It don't work like that.
How do you think he is now? Like, obviously we're interchangeably saying he and she because people will be aware of all of that, and we won't get into that now.
I know.
It'll take a while to really get
Yeah.
used to that, like, you know what I mean?
I'm sure she's happier now, knowing, because when I went, it was like a cloud hanging over her, not knowing. It was the not knowing bit, you know. And I couldn't believe that something like this could take so long to go to trial. And again, like I said earlier, there's people over here that commit murder and get a lesser sentence than what he hasn't murdered anybody. You know.
What do you think he's done to deserve this?
He's told the truth.
And that's it.
He's told the truth.
He's a hero anyway, because for what he did, like I said, he deserves medals for what he's done anyway. He proved to the world what's going on.
He was strong enough to stand up
Yeah,
and do
strong
it.
enough to
Yeah.
people
When
what
nobody
was going
else,
on.
nobody else would do it.
He
He did it. Maybe he did it the wrong way. I don't know. But he was strong enough to stand up and say, "Look, I've seen this. This should never have happened." You know.
But is there any other way he could have went about it? Like, I don't think there is it, to bring the truth out. Like.
I think if he'd have gone any other way, they still would have covered it up.
Yeah.
Susan, do you have any final message for what you'd like people to do?
When Sharon goes to see him now in February, she knows what to do, don't she?
Yeah.
Give him a big hug.
Yeah. Because that's
Yeah.
something we couldn't do. We couldn't do
couldn't
that in
do that.
Quantico.
Yeah.
She's never been able to hug his son. Because in Quantico there was a screen and he was behind the glass. So Susan
So you
couldn't
haven't
touch
been
him.
Letterbox box.
But at least where he is now, it's just like a table and I can touch him. I can touch him.
You hugged.
I can hug him, I can touch him. He's free to get a drink well, not free, you know, he's allowed to go to the vending machine, he can move, he's not in shackles. It was the noise, wasn't it, of the shackles.
Yeah.
What do you think the future holds?
I think once he gets out, he'll want for nothing. Once he gets out, I think.
And you do believe?
Oh, I do strongly believe that. I think he'll want for nothing when he gets out.
You believe he will get out?
Yeah, and I just hope he's happy, or she's happy, and, you know, just lives the life that she's entitled to, like every other person. You know, it's funny because, you know, you've got Christmas coming, you've got her birthday next month, which is the same day as his sister, and it's so difficult to buy a birthday card. You go into a shop, you know, and they say, oh yeah, go out, get drunk and have a great time. I'm thinking, no, I can't get that.
You can't do that.
So you have to make a card or send a blank card with your own personal message in it. But yeah, it's hard.
So just to wrap up, would I be right in saying that you're all proud of what Chelsea has done?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a definitely
yes.
It was lovely talking to you all. I hope the rest of your trip to Ireland goes very well, and we'll see you again.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You talked out.